Hi, welcome to part 5 of this CodeLab on SwiftUI. In this part, we're going to create the edit view. So let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is create a data type and update the data model. So let's do that. And in the data type or the data property, we need to add the properties that we are going to edit in the edit view. So let's do that. In daily scrum.swift, we need to define the data structure inside an extension of daily scrum. So we have our daily scrum here and we have our extension. So we need our struct for data, and it should have all the properties we need to edit. So let's add those. There's an array of attendees. There's the length in minutes. And then there's the theme. Okay, so we have the struct, and we're going to now need a way to assign the default values to all the properties. So here in step 3, we have the computed data property that returns data with the daily scrum property values. So we can actually just copy this over. So we have data, which is a computed property, and it takes daily scrum. So this data property would be in here, and then let's see if that compiles. If not, we might have to fix the, so here it says attendees and this is attendee, so let's fix that. So now we have the computed property, which is data, and it returns a capital D data which has the daily scrum property values, and we are also casting length in minutes to a double because that's what data needs. So let's keep going. So we need to add a edit view for scrum details. So for scrum details, let's create the detailed edit view, and we can create that here. And we need a add state property for the data. So we're going to call it data, and it'll be initialized with the computed properties. So here we can say add state property wrapper and private var scrum, or it's data and it's daily scrum dot data. So the add state property wrapper defines the source of truth for the value types, and add state properties are private, so they can only be accessed within the view. So now we need the form and the form is going to adapt the appearance of controls when it renders. So let's add the form. So in the body, we can add the form. Okay, so we have the form, and inside section we can add a text field for the meeting invite. So section, so here it's complaining about the daily scrum.data. So let's take a quick look at that. Oh, we need to initialize all the values, so let's do that here. If we're initializing the values to empty string and the initial value for theme is .cform, so hopefully that should fix the errors. Let's take another look at daily detail edit view. Okay, so it fixed that error. So let's take a look at this one. So here it's talking about the text field, and text field binds to data.title. So here we can create the binding under section in a closure. So we have a text and it has a title, and it also has a text property which is binding to data.title. So let's see what that looks like. Yeah, this is a text field. So we have this text field here. Now we can keep going. We can add an H stack and a slider for the meeting length, and the sliders label closure we can add the text for accessibility. So let's do that. We have an H stack and a closure. We have a slider with the value of data.length in minutes, and the second parameter is in the range, and the third parameter is the step. So now this slider can be moved around with an increment of 1, and then we have a text under it called text, and has a value of length. So okay, so the next step is to add a spacer and a we add a spacer and a text to display the meeting length. So let's do that. So we now have that text displaying the data length in minutes. So we can add another section to form to display the Scrum attendees. So in this section, below the first section, we can add a section called attendees. So let's see where the first section ends, which is here, and the second section starts. So we can add the section which has a header, which has a text, and it's called attendees. So that's the second section. And now we can add a for each and display the attendees in a text view. So let's do that. So now we get an attendee inside the for each loop, and we can display the attendee name in text field. So that should populate here. I think it takes a while to refresh, but we can build the thing. So add an onDelete modifier to remove attendees from the Scrum data. So we can add this onDelete to remove attendees. So in the closure for onDelete, we can have indices and we can have a remove function where add offsets takes a value of indices. And this add state property, we need a new one called new attendee name. So let's create that. And it's a type string, but we can initialize it to an empty string. Now we can add an hstack containing a text field and pass a binding to the new attendee property. So below the hstack here, we can have this hstack closure, and inside the hstack closure we can have a text field, and the text field title is new attendee, and the text field's text is binding to new attendee name dot title dot name, or it's just a new attendee name. So yeah, it is just a new attendee name. So let's build that. So build succeeded. So let's keep going. Add a button with an empty action and an image label. And the image label goes inside the button, and the system name on that image label is plus.circle.fill. So now we have this button. Let's refresh that. So that's the button we have. add an animation block that creates a new attendee and appends the new attendee to the attendees array. So instead of having just a boring button, we can have it as an animated one. So we have this button, and we can add an animation block. So let's see how we can do that, which is basically just this. So the animation block would have an action inside here, and then it would have a with animation, and inside the animation block we would have the attendee, and we can pass the name of the new attendee in here, and we can also append the attendee to the data.attendees. So we're appending the attendee. Now we can set attendee name, the new attendee name, to an empty string inside the animation block. So here we can set new attendee name to empty string. So just to reset it. Now we can disable the button if new attendee name is empty. So let's see. Here outside the button, we can set the new attendee name to empty. Or we can set it to is empty if it's disabled. Okay, now we can add the accessibility modifiers. So we'll go through this really quick. So we can set the accessibility value for slider. So let's do that really quick. In details edit view, we're looking for the slider meeting info, which is in here. And in the slider, we can add, so this is where the slider ends. So we're just going to add the accessibility here and hide the text view from voiceover. So to do that, we can just copy this over the accessibility hidden field, and we can add that to the text in minutes, which is this field. Add an accessibility label to the image. So we can do that really easily. So now our accessibility is taken care of. Now we can present the edit view. So in our detail view.swift, we can add a state property. So let's do that. And the state property is initially set to false, and it's called isPresentingEditView. and add a sheet modifier on the list. So let's do that. And then we can add a toolbar button that sets is presenting to true. So that's the toolbar button. That sets is presenting to true. And what else do we need here? Embed detailed edit view in a navigation view. So for detailed edit view, we can just right click or command click and say embed in, and we can make it a navigation view. And we need a toolbar to offer different actions. So let's add the toolbar button. Okay, so we've already added the edit button. Now we can add the other button, which is the done button here. And this should be in the details view. So in the details view, under the navigation view, there should be a second button under cancel. There should be under sheet as presented. So we have the navigation view there, and we have the detail edit view there. So we need the navigation title, and we need the toolbar, so now we have the done and cancel buttons. Now we can build and run the app. So if we go into a Scrum, we can edit the Scrum, and it has done and it also has cancel. So we could go to a different Scrum like this one and hit edit, and it also has the done and the cancel buttons, and edit and done and cancel. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one. In the next one, we're going to pass the data with bindings. Thanks for watching.